Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I've got for you a tank review, and I haven't actually done one of these in a while, but today I'm going to be reviewing the Skoda T45. Now I'm going to say that wrong several times because for some reason in my head it keeps getting mixed up between lots of different tanks. But anyway, I'm talking about the brand new Czechoslovakian Tier 7 premium heavy tank that kind of, to be honest, just came out of nowhere. That you can buy right now if you are playing through the ranked battle season. You need to be able to get to the 2nd division, I think it is, and then the option to buy this thing becomes available. If not, I don't know if they're going to release this at a later date. I don't know if they're going to release it for purchase. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if it's just like the ranked battles, people get it a month or two early and then it will go on general sale, or what. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I'm going to be doing a tank review, so if you want to know what this tank is all about, I'll do like the stats and how you get it, everything like that, comparisons and stuff at the start, and then there'll be some ace tanker gameplay at the end. If you don't want to listen to me waffle and you just want to see the game, you want to see how it plays, I will leave a timestamp in the description. Now, if you're still watching, first things first, the way you're going to get this tank. So if you come over into ranked battles, and then click on your... I did terribly in ranked, don't look at that. I was getting annoyed and going up, going down, going up, going down. Anyway, if you head over into your ranked battles items, and you'll see it just there. You have to get to the 2nd division, I think. Where is it? Rules for ranks. There you go. So you have to get into the 2nd division. I think once you get to here, it unlocks the... Well, I think it's here, to be fair. Yeah, here you go. Complete the 3rd division, get into the 2nd division, and you unlock the ability to buy the item. Initially, it costs 12,500 bonds, which is quite a lot. But again, if we go back to the ranked battles, you get 500 for finishing each the 2nd and the 1st division. I think you may have had a bit of discount as well from any previous seasons of ranked that you played. And also, at the minute, if you go onto the missions, this is something I didn't realise until after I bought it, but it doesn't really matter. I've got so many bonds anyway, it doesn't matter. You can actually, if you play a load of tanks, you can get half decent discounts off of it as well. So have a look, play around, and like I said, it's available for bonds. I think I got it in the end for about 9,000 bonds, which that's not terrible for a tier 7 premium heavy. Could have been better, but I've still got, nearly 60,000 bonds, so what you gonna do? But yeah, this thing, it kind of took me by surprise. It was like, oh, there's a Czechoslovakian heavy tank in the game. It's pretty good. I mean, I'm not gonna say, oh my god, it's amazing, it's the best thing you've ever seen, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it's not that terrible. The ace tanker you're gonna see in a bit, it was literally my very, very, very first game in the tank. And I think at the minute, based on what the marks of excellence are looking like, I would say that I think only good players have this at the minute. But anyway, let's go jump over into Tanks UG. I'll go down the statistics of the tank, compare it to others, and then look at the armor and stuff like that. So, into Tanks UG, guys, and Tier 7 heavy tanks. I love doing Tier 7 heavy tanks for comparison because there is absolutely... It's just the easiest thing to compare. You put in a Tiger, you put in an IS, you put in a T29, and I guarantee you 100% of the people watching this video have played at least one of those 3 tanks, whether it was one of their first Tier 7s or what. But I'm not going to guarantee because some people might have skipped, but 99% sure that some of you will have played one of those. Most of you will have played one of those tanks. So, like I said, nice and easy, serve it up. And if I had to describe this tank in a nutshell, Max, what is your one sentence to describe this tank? It's a Tiger with a worse gun but better armor. Boom, video done. Ciao, adios. See you later. No, yeah, it's a Tiger, but it's not quite as good in terms of the gun, which for me is like, that's actually quite bad, but it has got better armor, which is quite nice. So, Skoda T45 on the left, Tiger right next to it. I'm going to be pretty much directly comparing it to the Tiger, but then if I do need to draw in the IS or the T29, they are over here on the right. First things first, the gun is an 88mm gun. So it's the same gun I think that you get on some of the lower tier mediums. For example, the Skoda T40, which would make sense. And yeah, I think it's similar to the gun you get on the Skoda T40, the tier 6 medium, but I think it's got better penetration, like better rounds. 220 average damage. That sucks at tier 7, and it really sucks to be a tier 7 heavy, although just be thankful that you're not a black prince, because that's obviously like 150, but 220, really not that good, and especially since the Tiger's alpha has been buffed, it's now really struggling down here. Obviously, because it has got such a low alpha, the rate of fire is quite good, although it's not as good as what you would actually expect for having that low alpha. The DPM is quite on the low side. The Tigers is in a different league. It's absolutely amazing. It is even worse DPM than the IS is. Slightly better than the T29s, however. But the penetration, pretty much the same as the T29s. The heat rounds are 250, so pretty good at tier 7. Like, you're not really going to meet anything, tier 9s, moisture maybe, type 4 are the hardest things you're going to meet. 250 heat pen as long as you aim. That's not too bad. 995 meters a second shell velocity, pretty good. Ammo capacity is half decent, could probably be a little bit better, but you're firing so often. Something that is kind of good about having the lower alpha and the better rate of fire is you can obviously keep things tracked easier, and you're going to see a bit of that in the gameplay as well. Gun handling wise, it's not great, but this comparison makes it look quite good because the T29, the IS, and the Tiger's dispersions are pretty terrible. The Tiger's accuracy is quite good at 0.34. 0.38 is average. It's not awful, like 0.46. It's not bad, like 0.42. It's average, 0.38. Dispersions are alright. They're not great. And the 2.5 seconds aim time at tier 7, again, is alright. It's not great. It's very much 7 degrees of gun depression. It's pretty good. It's alright. It's not great. It's just there. It's just there. Speed does kind of let this thing down a bit. However, with the new implementation of things like turbos, you can actually do something about it. The gameplay you're going to see, I'm not running a turbo, but now I have switched to running a turbo in this tank. So it goes up to like 30, was it 34, 35? Bit faster backwards and obviously better horsepower per ton. The horsepower per ton, not too bad at all. 14, which is better than the T29 and the Tiger. The top speed is very limiting, however, at only 30, and that's one of the main reasons you have the turbo. It's not necessarily for the power to weight, like it is in most tanks that you fit a turbo to, but for that top speed, so you can actually go places, because it's very limiting. Turret traverse, 24 degrees a second. It's alright, it's not good, it's not great, but it's not bad. And tank traverse of 25, which is actually more towards the low side, which isn't great. Armor we'll come onto in a minute. 1400 health, big old slab of health. This is very nice. Not quite as much as the Tiger, but that again is kind of standalone in the class. That's tier 8 heavy tank hit points. 1400 is definitely the high end of tier 7, as you can see by the T29 and the IS, which is very nice. Where are we? View range 370. Again, not as good, not that good, not as good as the Tiger and the T29, but a lot better than the IS. Shell cost, however, is something I think a lot of people underestimate. It's very nice. 330 for 220 alpha is pretty good, especially as well because you're a premium, obviously. That credit per shell output is quite nice to have. So you can make a load of credits. And it does make a decent amount of credits from the couple of games that I have played in it. So, we'll jump over onto the armor, and as you can see, I've angled this thing pretty much perfectly already, but like I said, this thing is a bit like a Tiger, but it's just got better armor. The reason for that is you see this massively sloped upper plate. If you angle it perfectly, I'm gonna talk about this before I talk about the specifics of the armor, because I can't be bothered to try and angle it again, but if you angle it pretty much perfectly, you've got a decent amount on the side. I mean, I've over-angled slightly there, god damn it, Max. It's about 200 millimeters on the side, all not overmatchable. It's all 70mm thick, which is very, very nice. If someone's below you, they can shoot up into this 20mm part. Similar weakness to the Germans. Not a lot of people know about that weakness, but if you're slightly below a tank, you can shoot up into below where their tracks are, and it will go through near enough every time. The upper plate is actually very nice, 110mm thick, but it is angled very, very, very nicely. Sloped back quite a lot. Which actually makes it like when you're flat on about 170, 175, up to 180. When you're angled pretty much perfectly, it's over 200 in some places, which again, it's very, very nice. You really do struggle to get the Tiger's armor to that high of an amount. Lower plate is quite weak, only 100mm, and it's not angled nearly as well. So most things can go through that. Tier 6s, even most tier 5s. But if you can just hide the lower plate, which most areas with 7 degrees of gun depression, like if you're shooting directly over the front, and I didn't mean to do that, and 7 degrees of gun depression, and you can hide your lower plate. Your upper plate is now like, you know, 220, 210, 215, which is very, very nice. Like tier 8s are going to start struggling with that. The turret is quite nice as well, and this is something where it definitely overtakes the Tiger. The front like mantler is a no-go. It's like 400mm thick. I think it's got several layers of armor in there. The actual frontal turret itself is 160, and it has kind of like this this beak to it, this point. So both the upper part and the lower part are quite well angled. So you, again, about 200mm of pen. You need to get through that, which if you look at all of the tier 7 tanks, the IS is going to struggle. Like you're going to see in the gameplay, I had an IS shooting me. He was struggling. T29 is kind of, unless you're angling, unless you're moving, pretty much a 50-50 T29 Tiger to go through. So, yeah, it's not bad. Like, I don't think, with the exception of the T29's turret, I don't really think there's many other tier 7 heavy tanks that you'd be like, oh, yeah, I've got great armor. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. Am I going to regret that decision? Only, maybe, but no, not really. And, yeah. Like, even the Tiger P, which obviously sacrifices so much for the armor, I would say you've got similar amounts of armor to a Tiger P, but you don't have the like, corner cheek weak spots that the Tiger P has. And I would say the overall tank is slightly better. It goes slightly quicker, etc., etc. So, yeah, like, the armor is half decent. If we go on to live viewer, so you can see you shooting against yourself. Again, if you angle it like this, go as if you're shooting towards someone, it's a 50-50. You're 50-50 to go through. It has got a cupola, which is quite weak. It actually is very weak. I didn't realise quite how weak that was. It's quite big, but as soon as you start to use gun depression, it hides, and it's on the side. So if you can come around what will it be, a left-hand corner? Yeah, a left-hand corner, you can actually hide it so that you can't be shot in it. But anyway, that's enough of me waffling on about the armor and stuff. We'll go into the garage quickly. I'll just go through my equipment loadout and everything like that. I'll give you my opinion on the tank, although I'm pretty sure you've already got that, and then we'll jump into the gameplay. So, we'll run through the equipment quickly. I'm not going to go through cruise skills, because they're standard heavy tank cruise skills. There's only so many ways you can set up cruise skills. I have got Chuck Norris. I put him in this tank, because obviously they are going to release a Czech heavy line at some point, I'm pretty sure. I think that's basically confirmed. So, I didn't really have any other tanks to put him in, because I've practically got every other tank line that I want going now. So, yeah, he can sit in there. Equipment wise, like I said, I've gone for turbo. In the gameplay, you're going to see I had vents. So in the gameplay, the rate of fire is slightly quicker than the setup I have now and stuff like that, but it's not quite as fast. I'm going to see how the turbo runs, and then I might swap it back, but I would say turbo or vent. I've gone for optics. Like I said, the view range isn't great, but isn't terrible. 408 with vents rather than optics in the right slot. It was 420. I'm still experimenting as well to see where the fuel tanks and everything are. If they're not in like awful places, I'm probably going to switch out the fire extinguisher for a premium consumable. But I don't want to be set on fire so much, because 1400 hit points is a lot to lose, and obviously it's not like I've got a great firefighting crew or any kind of firefighting crew. So yeah, rammer is obvious. You're definitely going for a rammer and optics, like I said. Other options, if you wanted, vents is obviously your number one. Improved rotation is definitely something to consider. You could swap it. You could go rammer, improve rotation, and vents or turbo. Improved hardening, you can. Extra hit points is never a bad thing, but I probably wouldn't recommend, just because there are other things that you could go for. Modified configuration is never bad, but again, I think it's kind of a waste of a slot, although if you do use it, it's not the end of the world. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all I'd say. This thing can't fit vert stabs, which is kind of annoying, but hey-ho, what you going to do? And yeah. Fires, like I said before, holds quite a lot of ammo, so you can spread it out across everything. And I'm going to stop waffling, because otherwise this is going to take forever to upload. So if you have enjoyed the video so far, guys, if you found it useful in any way, make sure you consider subscribing. Loads of support on my last video on the ranked recommendations, which I'm really happy about. Thank you to everyone who's watched and subscribed from that. So make sure you subscribed, turn notifications on so you know when I upload. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a like as well. And yeah, let's go jump into the gameplay. So here we go, guys, into my first game in the Czechoslovakian heavy tank, or in any Czechoslovakian heavy tank, but the tier 7 premium. And like I said, this is my very first game, and it's probably no great secret by now. It was an ace tanker, so that's always nice. Pretty decent game, to be fair. Like, this is pretty much perfect matchmaking for me in a tier 7 heavy. I don't really like facing tier 5s because there's just too few hit points. I mean, if you're going to throw tier 5s at me, I'm not going to say no, but there's not a great amount of hit points. No arty, tier 7, tier 6 game, absolutely lovely. We're on Mountain Pass, we've spawned north. Best thing to do on Mountain Pass when you spawn north is come here. Hopefully you've got a good scout and they can shoot across at the start. Now, I actually did something there that I recommend to people don't do, but I know I've got a decent enough rate of fire to do. Don't shoot at tanks when they're crossing here. Wait until they get to this gap here, and as you can see, you get much, 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 much better shot at them. So I don't like it when you see especially when you're spotting and you spot everyone here and everyone shoots and all miss because they haven't got a very good shot, and then the enemy tanks get to here, clean shot, and everybody's reloading, and it doesn't really matter. So number one piece of advice, that's not just playing in this tank, but on Mountain Pass in general. If you've got a scout that's spotted across the start and you're sitting in these trees or where I was, shoot there. Don't shoot all the way back here. Like, it's just not worth it. So you can see enemies, hell of a lot of them over this side of the map, but we have got a lot of team there. It's this side of the map that our team is lacking on, and as we know from the cross, there's a T45-2, T29, IS, VK, Hellcat, there might be a Super Chaffee around, don't really know. We're going to come this way. See here, it's not the horsepower per ton that's the issue. Like, you accelerate quite quickly in this tank. It's the top speed. That 30 km/h top speed is an absolute killer, which is why from now on I'm going to be using a turbo in the tank. I'm going to see if it helps. If it doesn't that much, then I'll swap back to vents. So, missed the first shot, always great. The dispersions, like I said, they're pretty good for a tier 7 heavy, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're good. Hellcat, T29, pen me, but I think that's because I poked a drive wheel around the corner, so, you know, probably shouldn't do that. Aim for the T29 first because I deem him the most important target. He's obviously got the highest pen. Thing I'm going to struggle with the most. Now, what I'm going to do here is basically use this bit of rubble. It's perfectly angled so that I can hide my drive wheel and my side armor whilst presenting a very steep angle of my upper plate, and obviously my turret is going to be pointed straight at everyone. Something that is to my advantage here as well is the fact that these guys probably don't know what I am. They probably have no idea what the hell this tank is. Aim for the track the VK, and this is where I said in the review part of the video earlier, because you've got a decent rate of fire, like something like an IS can't really keep things permatracked unless they've got an absolutely terrible repair crew. However, DPM's not that great, but because you're pumping out shots quite quickly, you can keep things permatracked, and then last shot, don't need to shoot his tracks, don't need to expose myself that much. So already we're up to 2,200 damage. Obviously I know we did about 400 whilst crossing. T29's now hold down. Ignore him. The reason I'm sitting here as well and pulling back every time is because then if they want to overpeak me, they have to expose themselves to the fact that there's a Jackson, a Hellcat, the Brett Panther, and even a KV2 behind me as well. So it's like, you know, there's no point in me overpeaking them. I may as well just try and shoot and then let them try and overpeak me, because then I can fall back. Again, Hellcat, you made a mistake. I'm not going to bother shooting at the T29 just yet. I need to get his friends out first so that I've got time to aim where I want to. Because look, there's no real shooting that T29. So focusing on the IS, everything like that. T25 too pops up out of nowhere. And you can see my armor here is working very, very well. And that's because we're in a very... Pretty much this... I'm not going to lie to you. This rock is perfectly angled so that I can hide my side armor and present my frontal armor at a very steep angle. Loaded the heat now, because obviously heat gets can pen through sharper angles. I think it's up to you're gonna test my knowledge of the game now. I think 85 degrees, whereas AP bounces at 70 if it doesn't overmatch. So you see me going through the compiler of the T29. I think this T29 was a half decent player. I think he realised that, you know, I knew what I was doing. Tried to shoot through the cheeks of the T29 there when he angled a little bit, but didn't go through. I'm loaded. You can see me got I've got HE queued up for the next shell. I see him exposing a bit too much hull, so I don't actually need it. Kill the T29. I'm now going to try and reverse side scrape a little bit. I didn't really have time to angle properly, but we managed to bounce the IS around. I don't know if what he shot at, but clearly not something great. KV2 kills the IS, and the and the me kills T25 too, and yeah, boom, that was all she wrote for that game. And a very, very, very good game, to be fair. 4,151 damage in a tier 7 heavy tank. I'll take it. 3,800 damage blocked. I'll definitely take it. Like, you can't really complain about that. And we killed and capped as well on a 15-2, I'd like to point out. The thing is, I know I wasn't on much health. Like I said, this was my very first game in this tank, and something that I didn't realise is the turret is actually quite a long way back. Like, there's a lot of hull in front of the turret. You will need to be very careful in this tank not to accidentally poke a drive wheel around the corner, because boy oh boy, it's a big drive wheel, and people will be able to perma-track you if you're not careful. But I showed, I think, how the armor worked on this tank. If you can angle it well, if you can get in the right position. This position worked well, or if you can get in a position where you can use your gun depression works well. And you can just get the gun working. Yes, the DPM's not great, but because you can fire so often, and you can usually, or between all other, well, near enough all other tier 7 heavy tanks, you can fire 2 times within their reload. So if they fire, you shoot them, and then you know you've pretty much got time to shoot them again before they reload. And you can pretty much trade 1-for-1 with mediums, and obviously you've got a lot higher health than mediums. So most of the time, you do have the tools you need to kill everything at tier 7. It's just about picking your moments, trying not to get into a fight like you saw there. I could have quite easily tried to go around the corner, tried to push or something, and I'd have got absolutely screwed. I sat back, kept my gun singing, and just made sure that I had my teammates behind me so that they couldn't over-peak and do damage to me. But anyway, that is the Skoda T45. God, I didn't say it wrong this whole video. Well done, me. We'll go take a look at the post-game stats. Like I said before, make sure you give the video a like. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Make sure you've got notifications turned on. And yeah, let's go take a look at the post-game stats. So, there we go, guys. Like I said, and obviously it's in the video title somewhere, that was an ace. God, came as a shock to everyone. Also got a high caliber, steel wall, and cool-headed. Survived 10 ricochets in a row. Wow, that's rare that you get one of those that isn't at, like, tier 3 when, like, a Panzer 1 C just goes straight into your armor and bounces, like, 10 in a row. But yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, like I say, that apparently did something into that Jackson, even though it doesn't say anything. It's in the right situation, it's a very good tank, but then, to be fair, you could say that again about all tanks. 4,151 damage, 4 kills, and 1,604 base XP. I'm not sure what the ace is. If that wasn't an ace, I was going to be really surprised in terms of base XP. We fired 21 shots, hit 23, and penned 21. I think one of the misses was at the start on that IS, and beyond that, not a lot. And like I said, you do make a pretty decent amount of credits. Some of that was, I'm going to try to say a mission payout, actually. Just looking at it now. But you do make a decent amount of credits. It's tier 7 premium heavy. Do I recommend the tank? Same with all premium tanks. How many you have, how much money you have, and what you need in terms of crew training. Obviously, this being the first Czech heavy tank, I would recommend it as a crew trainer, because there are no other Czech heavy tanks that you could have. Get this thing soon, you can train up a crew for it, and then when the Czech heavy tech tree line comes out, boom, you've already got like a 2 or 3 skill crew that you can just chuck straight in, which is very nice. As just a generic tank in the game, like as in just a tank, ignoring whether it's premium or not, I probably would say if you want the gameplay, play a Tiger. Like, in my opinion, I know I said it's a Tiger with a worse gun and better armor. That is true. For my personal opinion, for my playstyle, I would prefer the gun over the armor. You can play around the armor. You near enough always need the gun. So I would probably recommend play the Tiger, but this thing obviously makes the credits and makes the crew training. So at the end of the day, it's up to you. But I've given you everything I know about the tank, so you can make an informed decision on that yourself. And I know I'm sure you're bored of me saying it now, guys, but make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you turn notifications on as well. If you've enjoyed the video, please make sure you give it a like. And other than that, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.